It's perfectly possible to build in a way that's sustainable, energy efficient and does least damage to the environment without using the concrete and brick that we're so familiar with. There's such a wide range of products out there. So I'm going to take you through the structure and the products that we used in building our garden barn. And we did it that way in the hope that we won't have to heat the space even in the winter. So let me give you a quick overview. If we start from the outside coming in, on the back, the end and the roof of the barn, the external cladding is metal. Then there's a layer of ply. On top of the ply there are battens which are then covered with a breather membrane. And between the breather membrane and the ply that gives an air gap. On top of the breather membrane there's a wooden framework which is packed with flexible wood fibre insulation. On top of that there's rigid wood fibre insulation and the final internal wall will be OSB board. The roof is structured in a very similar way. Just instead of the OSB board we're putting in there something called isolayer, which is a compacted wood fibre equivalent of plasterboard, and we're going to leave that for its soundproofing, just leave it exposed. All of that put together should make a really energy efficient space. We'll be putting in controlled ventilation, I'll tell you about that later. But overall, we're really hopeful that we won't need to be heating this, maybe a little bit in the very coldest months, but otherwise it should stay at a steady state, whether it's hot outside or cold outside. That thickness of natural fibres and insulation should make it a really pleasant space to stay in. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. Don't give up, it's worth it. I'm going to take you through each one of those materials now. So the first material is the metal cladding, which we chose because of its fire resistant qualities. It also has what they call a standing seam, which is not very easy to say, but the reason for building the barn was to put on solar panels, so these seams make it very easy for the clips to go on. It's easy to install. You screw down through these holes and then you take the next piece and you link the two seams together. You clip it in and then you screw the next one down. So very easy to use, very light, but totally fire resistant. So the next layer in from the metal is a layer of ply. We all know what plywood looks like, and attached to that a number of battens of 3x2 wood, and attached to the battens is a breathable membrane. This is waterproof and breathable. If you don't understand breathability, don't worry. There's a link to a video above that will tell you all about it. But essentially, it's about allowing water vapour to keep moving through the whole structure. The whole thing needs to be vapour permeable. This is very good because it has sticky at the end of it, so it can be joined directly to the other because we need a constant waterproof barrier. Attached to the other side of the barrier is a wood framework that allows us to fill in with flexible wood fibre. This is a really good form of insulation. It's got a good U value. It's used with all the ends of the wood when everything else has been made, even the loo roll. It's the scraps that would have to be thrown away. So it's very sustainable, very flexible, so easy to push into place. And you fill the whole framework so that you get a really good layer of insulation. And in this we had 100 mil of this two layers of this thickness, 100 mil of flexible wood fibre. Not satisfied with just 100 mil, we then added another 80 mil of a rigid wood fibre. This one particular one's called Pavatherm, and that goes across the top, so that's covering the whole framework. So now you've got a rigid wall of fibre. On top of the rigid wood fibre then goes another membrane, but this one is breathable and airtight. And the point then is making sure that there is absolutely no air coming into the structure at all. So then the sealing part of it, the sealing up with the sticky, is really important. And where we can't make sure that this is all joining up, then we use a material called Contiga tape, which is the stickiest tape I have ever come across in my life, but all with the purpose of making a very, very solid structure of airtightness membrane. So all the cold, uncontrolled air is blocked from coming into the space. The final piece of the structure is OSB board. It's made with wood strands and it uses everything from the tree, all the knotty-grotty bits, and engineers it all together into a wood board. And we're actually going to see what it looks like just left as it is, see if we like the look of that design-wise. If not, we'll paint it over with, of course, breathable paint. But the final covering is OSB board. I'll put links to all of the products that we've used down below. There's all sorts of different ones, but that should give you a start on the search engines. And if you have any questions, please do ask.